Welcome back, everybody. A little bit of a news of the day video for all, and we're going to start off with the fact that NHL Department of Player Safety decided they were going to get some fines going on today. And I want to remind people too, the maximum allowable under the CBA is a low number. So when I see people saying, "Well, that's not going to do anything," well, that's a useless fine. Yeah, that's the maximum allowable under the collective bargaining agreement. They legit cannot fine more than these three amounts, and each fine is different apparently for whatever the penalty on the play was. Like the amount of money you can be fined depends on what the actual penalty was. So as a for instance, Greg Patterson is fined $5,000 for cross-checking Sonny Milano, right? Obey Kubel is fined $4,633.62 for roughing Darlene in the Buffalo Philadelphia game. So there's a $366.36 or 38-cent difference. It's weird, right? And then Elias Pettersson of the Canucks is fined $3,987.07 for slashing Sean Monahan. And honestly, with the Canucks, it doesn't surprise me that we see somebody who had a tough game. Notice that all three of these players lost those games last night. So in all three cases, they're players who crossed the line. And what this also does, because I always see the comment of, well, what's the point of finding them? The next time out, they get suspended. So when they get that fine, they get that call, it's normally along the lines of, all right, so we'll give you this fine, but next time, you're probably looking at a suspension. So, yeah, they're a little bit lighter in their bank accounts, and it's sort of a shots fired situation, just that warning shot kind of thing. But yeah, so those three from last night, and we'll see how many we end up with. Remember, every game is a grudge match this year. Every game you're playing against somebody you don't like, more than usual, anyways. Now, Michael Stone has cleared waivers for the Calgary Flames, so he's going to be demoted, and at the AHL level or on the taxi squad, he makes $200,000 a year. So it's a $500,000 difference between what he would make on the NHL level compared to what he makes at the AHL level. This is why when people say, well, players are make X amount of dollars, and they do, and yet there's players who make a lot less, and it's a huge difference between the AHL and the NHL. And so for those guys who are in the middle ground, and maybe they're going to end up with the NHL team for like quarter of the year, maybe half, they're waiting on an injury, it can be stressful, because especially if you have like a young family, it can be stressful to not know quite where you're going to be from one week to the next. So I mentioned this in the preview. I'll throw this in here as well. The Carolina-Nashville game being postponed. Apparently, this is on the Carolina side. So Nashville won't practice today, but they will practice tomorrow. And so Nashville's good. Apparently, it's something on the Carolina side. And again, as I mentioned in the preview, it sounds like it's the same kind of situation as other practices being delayed out of an abundance of caution. It doesn't sound like, but again, they're being really opaque about it. It doesn't sound like it's an actual positive test on the team. It just sounds like it's a potential exposure, get everybody tested, and so that game gets pushed back. They have not announced the date for the makeup game between Carolina and Nashville. So we'll see. Ottawa. These guys. Stuetzle is out with a minor injury. It's not considered to be anything too dire, but he's not playing tonight. Of course, he had a highlight reel goal in his last game, his first in the National Hockey League, his first goal. He already had his first game prior to that. So the Ottawa Senators will miss him out of the lineup. We'll see whether or not this means that White ends up playing at all. White was basically likely to be scratched for this game. But if Stuetzle's out, I would think then White jumps into that spot in the lineup. But we'll see. And then again, of course, you redo the lines, right? I thought this was interesting, so I'll throw this in here, and it's with a Boston logo, because Willie O'Ree played for the Boston Bruins. I've never done a Willie O'Ree video. What I found interesting was that the Willie O'Ree stickers are on the back of the helmets of every team in the league. I'm pretty sure it's every team. And they'll be there until the end of February. So they're putting them on there yesterday to commemorate his first game in the National Hockey League with the Bruins. and they're keeping it there until the end of February, which is Black History Month in the U.S. I just find it weird that people want to take issue with it because it's the first black hockey player to play. The one that I laughed at the most was, and I kept seeing, this isn't really a hockey thing. It's legit only a hockey thing. This is absolutely a hockey thing. It's not a big deal. It's a sticker on the back of the helmet. It's really not a big deal. I would say that, hey, from 63 years ago, remember when you played your first game? We decided to put a sticker on the back of guys' helmets. You won't be able to see it during the game because we don't show the back of their heads much during the game. And from further than 8 inches away, you won't be able to make out what it is. But we're really proud. So we've decided it's not a big deal. We've been over stickers on helmets and how they're not really noticeable once you're in the game. Like all the advertising stickers on the helmets, I barely notice them. There are a couple of them that are kind of gaudy, but in general, they're not a big deal. They show the close-up of the player and you notice. But again, the O'Ree stickers, I just find it odd that people got upset. But it's the internet, so of course they did. Because of course they did. So, it's just that's how things work. But yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's a nice gesture, and I thought it was nice too last night. Every broadcast that I saw had a pregame package talking about O'Ree and his place in the game. And honestly, if you haven't followed the Willie O'Ree story, it is an interesting one. There will be a video at some point from me on that. I don't think I've done a Willie O'Ree video in general, but there's been so much said and so much talked about with O'Ree over the last couple of years that, it would make for a very interesting video. Far more than what the number of games he played in the National Hockey League would indicate. But again, there's reasons for that, and I can definitely go through that when I do a video on him as well. News from tonight's games. Casey DeSmith and Tristan Jarry. It's not a goalie controversy yet, but DeSmith is starting again tonight for Pittsburgh. He started the last game. And so I do wonder if Jim Rutherford's going to watch this situation and say, all right, so do we need to fix something in net? It's possible that if DeSmith struggles and if his numbers and Jarry's numbers are still not that great, it's possible Pittsburgh makes a move here. Because again, with the short season and with the rapid, how quickly this schedule is going to be done, it really is. It really is. I think we're like 80 days out from the trade deadline already. It's not long till the trade deadline. It really isn't. It's less than 3 months. And between now and then, we're going to see a lot of games get played, as long as Carolina doesn't ruin it for everybody, or Dallas. In between now and then, there's going to need to be some moves made, and you're going to need to make that decision probably sooner in the season with the shortened season than you normally would. I don't think there's any GMs looking at this season and going, it's a throwaway season, who cares? I don't think so. I doubt it. I don't think there's any owners necessarily looking at it that way either. So I would expect there to be some pretty lively rosters when it comes to trades in between now and I think it's first week of April that we see the trade deadline. So we'll see how DeSmith does tonight and how that furthers the storyline, or whether or not Jarry just gets the next start. This is a nice story too. The Montreal Canadiens, East Coast Hockey League, they've reached a deal with Trois-Rivieres, which makes sense. They've got Laval, now they've got Trois-Rivieres. You don't need to send a player outside of the province. You can more closely monitor how they're doing at the AHL level and now at the ECHL level. So that makes a lot of sense. As soon as they announced that expansion team for Trois-Rivieres, it made total sense that it would be Montreal. Maybe Ottawa. I mean, Ottawa too, and maybe some others. But yeah, I'm always glad when it's somebody that's geographically close to their farm team. It makes a lot of sense, Vancouver. But there's not every team in the league agrees, Vancouver, and so there we are. All right. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as you normally will. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video. And I know there's a lot of hate that's given towards these hats when I wear them. And I agree, they're not the best hats. They're reverse retro hats, but it's the more sparkly logo for the Sens, so it's more matching of this jersey, and Yeah, they're not fantastic. They remind me of those jerseys that are split down the middle, which makes me think maybe we're going to get those jerseys that are split. Where the jerseys were split down the middle? I never had one. That is one item I never had, and every now and then I see them on eBay and I go, no, I can't. I just can't do it. I just, because where would I wear that? Where would I wear it? Other than having my own show in Vegas where I pretend I'm both the home team and the road team. Other than having that where I'm going to turn and pretend I'm one or the other. It legit doesn't make any sense. You're ruining two jerseys. By sticking them together, you ruin two jerseys. All right. Thanks for all your support. I've been very happy with the amount of growth on the channel. It's been great. And looking forward to providing more news and stuff. And now that we're about a week into the season, some analysis on where a couple of teams are at. So look forward to that. Thank you guys again for everything. I will talk to you again soon.